know. So let's talk about the prison and police abolition component of what you're passionate about.
Yes.
We're going to get into the juice, but we're going to keep it kind of kosher for, the beginning part just to kind of warm you up.
Before the Casamigos comes out.
Oh, man. Oh, no. Yeah, so I'm a very big advocate for prison and police abolition. And one of the things, like, especially when it comes to policing, a lot of people often say, like, the system is broken. And the one thing that people fail to realize is that it's not broken. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. Mm-hmm. Right? So when we look at Canada being a white settler state, and the authorities that were put in place to control those that were marginalized at that time being the Indigenous people, and how it's evolved to where we are currently. The authorities or the police were the ones that were the slave catchers. They were, right? So if we just look at the evolution of what policing is and look at what it is now, as much as you might say inclusivity and diversity, the root is still the same. It's just evolved over time. And it's so important when we look at it, it's the police aren't the ones that keep us safe. It's our community that keeps us safe.
I think it's the narrative for sure. A lot of people are misguided by. They don't understand how things were manufactured or created to work or not work. But I guess, again, it's about the blame game and it's about education. Once you understand what you're actually talking about, then you can really understand how to speak on it.
Right. Exactly. So that's really been sort of my focus point, looking at so many individuals that have been criminalized, be it individuals that are really just trying to support themselves, no matter the industry, women that are criminalized. And I know that's something that Arlene's very passionate about as well. And that kind of leads just into prison abolition, especially when you look at our prison system and how fucked our prison system is.
Just when you're talking about prison system, I notice a lot of the time when we talk about it, we talk about like mandem or men. We don't really talk about females in prison. So is that an area that you're very familiar with to talk about kind of?
So I primarily, and it's very unfortunate because there isn't as much research that goes into women in incarceration as there is when it comes to men. And oftentimes when we speak about incarceration, we speak primarily from the male perspective. I personally haven't had too much exposure to women in incarceration. I do work with individuals who primarily their life's work has been around women incarceration. So Dr. Ray Reese being one of them, who's really focused on women in incarceration, specifically Black women within incarceration. I primarily have not had too much exposure per se. I do a lot of readings when it comes to it because that is an area that I'm very interested in. And a lot of the programs that we've seen currently are, again, tailored towards male. So I'm looking at seeing how we can build programming specifically towards women because it's not something that we hear about.
And it's funny, as we're talking, it kind of like just, a bell just went off in my head. And I'm thinking the most we talk about when it comes to women being either wayward or on that slope is when we talk about sex workers. Right, in that area. So I notice when we talk about men or predominantly Black men, it's like the incarcerated ones or the drug dealers. But when it comes to women, we don't even really have that conversation about women in jail. We just kind of get to sex work and then we kind of leave it there.
Yeah.
So it's just funny as we're speaking, it was just something that I felt like, it was interesting to kind of ask and bring our attention to kind of think about that. So moving on, let's talk about COVID. So with your endeavors and what you're doing, how do you feel like the pandemic has impacted you on like a personal level?
So I think COVID's a blessing in disguise. Because one, it's really forced me to kind of look at things outside of the box. Because obviously with everything having to move to virtual spaces, it's now, well, how do I reach my target audience? We're not able to do workshops anymore. We're not able to have that sort of physical communication. So how do we still reach that target audience? And so it was really looking at, okay, what are some ways that we can do that? And so from that, like, I mean, back in, I was actually May 13th of last year, we started a show called Connect the Six. And it was really primarily to connect the six with individuals within the community, and celebrate their endeavors, what they've done in terms of overcoming barriers themselves, and really also just promote a lot of Black leaders within the six as well, and creating a network for individuals to be able to hone in and be like, oh, this person has this business, maybe I can hit that person up, or this person's in the arts, maybe I'll connect with that one. And we've had so many individuals who've cross-connected through our program because of that. And so now we're a year into our Connect the Six, which is a weekly program every Wednesdays. And that was something that we were only planning on maybe doing for like 3-4 months.
What part of the city do you normally highlight?
So it's throughout, honestly. We've had people from Mississauga, we've had people from the East End. We've actually gone a little bit outside of the six, and we've featured individuals from Calgary. We've had people from Brooklyn come in as well, in the States. So we've tried to open it up quite a bit, but primarily everyone's within the GTA, because the whole purpose of it is to network again, right? So we want to ensure that the individuals that we're featuring are accessible to those that want to contact them.
No, for sure. In regards to, like, on a personal level now.
1 second.
Ambiance.
Ambiance.